Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is voiceover Sophia because when I filmed this I had no voice. I've got it back now but I'm still a bit poorly, so forgive me for the weird voiceover. So today we're going to do mitred corners, and I wanted to show you my easy method of getting a mitred corner on a rolled hem. So if you're making napkins for Christmas, this is how you do it. I've actually pressed my edges first, so mark your rolled hem the size you want it. I've used my hot hammer to mark a 2 centimeter rolled hem. I did press this with an iron. Ignore me using my fingers. I didn't just finger press it, I did press it so I get really obvious lines. So I'm actually going to mark these lines with some coloured pens just to show you what I'm talking about. So the green felt tip is going to mark where the pressed lines are, and then I'm going to use a different colour in a minute, you'll see, to mark where we're actually sewing. So these are the markings for your seam lines. And you'll see that this raw edge here is the bit that's going to be underneath, so we want to ignore that and we're not sewing on the raw edge. That middle bit there, the square, is where we're going to cut off, and so we need to get rid of the bulk in that middle square and sew across the other 2 sides. So where we're actually going to be sewing is across that secondary hem section, and we need to be careful of the sizing of that hem. So as we've rolled a 2 centimeter hem, I'm going to definitely mark 2 centimeters. Just so we get it the exact width that I want it, because we need this all to be really, really square, and my pens are really thick, so I'm glad I remeasured this. So the purple line is going to be our sewing line, and remember, we're not sewing anything on the raw edge, so we're going to stop on the corners and we're not going to go over that line. We're going to just keep it on the purple line. So then you're going to fold it right sides together so that all those lines are on top of each other, and we want the purple lines to be exactly on top of each other. So how I check this is I get a little pin and I slot it through the line, and then I'll know that when I flip it over if it's lined up perfectly. So hopefully this will be exactly where it is. So I know that if I sew that, it's going to be exactly where I want it. And remember, we're not sewing on the raw edge at all. You do need to sew from the raw edge side to the fold because we want to reduce the bulk. So I'm going to show you a little trick in a second of how you can reduce the bulk on the fold. So you're going to sew towards the fold when you're sewing. So I've done my normal little reverse stitch here. Be careful not to go over that line, and I'm going to sew all the way down towards the fold. But when I get near the fold, I'm going to stop and then reduce my stitch length down to the lowest it can be. On my machine, that's 1 millimeter. So I'm reducing it to 1 millimeter, and then I'm going to sew off the edge of the fold with my tiny stitch, and then you don't have to do a reverse stitch or back stitch. Okay, so there we have our sewing, and that's all the bulk that we need to get rid of. So I'm pointing to this section here and I'm saying this is where you cut off, but you'll see in a second that I think I was just enjoying following really obvious lines, because that is like 1.5 centimeters of extra bulk in the corner, which we obviously don't want. So you'll see me try and faff with it, but you'll see quickly here how the raw edge will fold under, and then what you're left with is the corner. But obviously that's still too much bulk, so no amount of poking is going to work. So here you'll see me trimming it right down, and then on the actual folded bit you want to get rid of that corner, because when you poke it out, that bit is the bulky bit in the very, very corner of the napkin or the whatever you're making. So make sure you chop that off before you turn it the other way. And there you have it. So you can give this a proper press now, and you can fiddle out with the corner a little bit more if you want to. I just kept poking it. Obviously yours won't be covered in dark felt tip pen marks or anything. So yeah, that's what it looks like. It's a really easy method. I hope that all makes sense. And then you continue sewing up your raw edges as you normally would, without all those bulky corners. So there you have it. I hope that's a really easy tutorial for you to follow. And I just thought it might be useful if you're starting to make some Christmas things, or, you know, especially napkins and stuff like that in nice Christmassy fabrics. This is just a really nice way of finishing them off. So I hope you enjoy that, and I will hopefully be well enough to see you in person next week. Happy handmade, everyone.